So, fun fact, this is actually my second time recording this video. Let me make sure I'm in frame. Yeah, I am in frame. Uh, Last night, I went on a 22-minute tirade after the game. And I, rewatched the footage, and it very much translates to, like, angry translator from Key and Peele. And it's just, it's not something that I want to put out. But, I mean, luckily for me, save my own ass, it is so long that it won't sync with my iCloud, which won't allow me to then download the video on Premiere Pro and edit it there. It's literally stuck on my phone, so I can't do anything with it. So I lucked out. You know who's out of luck? 100 Thieves. Dear God, do we suck. Like, I'm not going to be as critical as I was last night by all means, but there is no denying that we are in arguably the worst spot of any team in the league. I would argue Dignitas has more upside than we do right now. The only team that might not have that is probably Immortals. I mean, they've looked a little bit iffy. But to have the Copium take, because there deserves to be a Copium take to a certain extent, we have great players who could technically turn it around. And our schedule, given that we are in direct competition with TSM to get the final spot in playoffs, is actually doable. We play TSM on the Wednesday of Super Week, and I'll have both schedules on screen right now. We play them on that Wednesday. We both have two hard opponents, so we should both lose to, and then we both have two easy opponents. So realistically, we beat TSM, and we beat those two easy opponents, and we stand a chance. We can actually get in the playoffs, and then in a best of 5, hopefully figure it out. But at this point, like, if we're being honest, we don't make it. Like, in our current form, we do not beat TSM. In our current form, we don't even beat, I think we still have to play Dignitas again. I don't think we beat Dignitas. Like, it's bad. It's really, really bad because we draft late game scaling in our first game of the week, and nothing happens. We get pounded. We draft early game in the second game. Yesterday, we had a, what was it? It was an Olaf in top lane, Lee Sin, so closers on comfort picks. Bjergsen actually had a pretty decent early and mid game, was able to force flashes out of Aurelion Sol, and overall was playing pretty aggro. Bot lane obviously just fell apart. We got first blood as Busio flashed forward to get the snare, but then similar to other games that we've had this year, like, we spent everything on support, and then the ADC kills us, gets 2 kills, and then obviously their jungler is there to then gank again and get them further ahead. And I don't want to spend a lot of time railing the players like I did last night, because I don't think it's good for anybody. I don't think it's healthy for anybody. But I do need to call out a few things here. First and foremost, Doublelift and Busio had a bad game. No denying that. Busio has been struggling a little bit relative to what we were expecting him to be. We were expecting him to basically do what Ayla has been doing right now. And, you know, I'm willing to cut them some slack. They had a bad game yesterday. There's no denying that. But also, they've bared the weight of every game on their shoulders so far. So you're going to have a bad game, and you need somebody else to pick you up. And there's just nobody on the team to do so. I think it is going to be a point of contention because Unforgiven is playing insanely well in Academy right now, but Doublelift's not the person that I'm looking at as the problem child on the roster. Now, if he's demanding resources, if there's something going on behind the scenes, then sure, that's a conversation that none of us are privy to, and it's not worth dealing with. But I think bot lane overall is fine. Bjergsen, the stat that everybody's going to point out to because I have him on my fantasy team this week, 2 points in fantasy. What? Like, what is that? I don't even know. Like, the problem was, like, yesterday he played decently well in lane and he blows Asol's flash, but, like, my bigger problem that I'm gonna come back to, because I think it is just blatantly apparent, is closer at the moment. Closer on Sejuani in day 1 gets not a lot done and obviously gets out jungled by Blabber, and we lose. To then see Contracts the next day face us against an early game comp and exude 20 times the amount of pressure, then closer on Lee Sin, let alone just comparing it to closer Sejuani the day before. I don't know what's going on with closer right now. I don't know why he's playing so timid, so scared to go to lanes, so scared to exude pressure in any way. The one time that he was clearly trying to do something after Bjergsen blew Acel's flash, Sejuani was smart and hovered. And the entire time, Lee Sin was never going to be able to get close. The one time they tried, it did not work. And it's like, he is that readable right now. And I think it's because we're leaving top lane on an island. And we're literally just segmenting closer to mid and bot. And 90% of the time he's going to go bot. But even then, he's not committing everything to it. He's kind of like halfway covering, half not. A perfect example, whenever Sejuani helps them get the second round of kills and bot lane yesterday, closer makes the decision to go to Scuttle and like farm bot lane jungle or bot area jungle. So he's in the area, but he's not close enough to have any effect. Whenever Sejuani pulls the trigger, he's not there. He can't do it. So it's like, it seems like he's tiptoeing. He's either not committing or fully committing. And it's like, I don't know what to do, because this is a consistent problem for closer what seems like every year now with the regular season. And I don't see this getting any better as time goes on. Sure, if we can get him to the best of 5, maybe he'll prove his worth. But if we're going to be struggling to hit best of 5s every time, yeah, that's going to be a problem. Tenacity is the other one that I'm looking at. That, again, rookie player, so I want to mince my words to a certain extent. But you cannot pick Olaf into Sion and then not win that matchup early. You have to. Otherwise, Sion just outscales. And as we saw later in the game, Doublelift's just tapping Sion with Caitlyn auto, and it's doing nothing at all. And we've just lost the game at that point. Tenacity's not doing anything to free up pressure bot lane. Like, again, if everybody's going to be focusing Doublelift like they currently are, you need to have pressure in mid and top to help alleviate that, or you just leave top on an island, put them on a tank, and that's pretty much it. Because if we're going to sit there and do nothing in lane, not get kills, not do anything else, like, you have to go on tank duty so that you can provide value later. Because the Fiora doing nothing, the Olaf doing nothing, like, these picks do literally nothing at all to help us in a game where clearly we are bot lane dependent on us to win. Now, I don't know whether that's a coaching decision, which brings me into the focal point that I want to address. Our coaching is a problem. And by all means, I've talked to Koss, I've talked to NukeDuck. They are great people. I don't want this to be interpreted in that way. And I have to walk a very fine line because I'm both media and a content creator. So I'm having these interviews with them, but also my words here are fairly important. Which, by the way, again, I think I mentioned this yesterday. Feel free to call me out for players and coaches, but when you have 2 rookies on the roster and veterans that are coming back, I get it's going to take time to gel. But it is oh so important that the coaching staff is able to get everybody to their maximum potential. I remember in an interview with Reaper whenever he joined 100 Thieves, his goal for every individual player was to make sure that they all hit first team All-Pro. Like, that's their individual goal, regardless of where the team was at. Like, they individually are first team All-Pro. And it seems like now, like, we have nobody that's willing to glue us together in a world where the players are all in their own world, and our drafts just don't seem to have an understanding that we are not in the best spot right now. Like, we're not making it simple. And I ultimately just fall back on the coaching staff, and it's like, you guys have to be the ones to ultimately change this, because I don't think there's any changes that you're going to make in this roster to a certain extent. I legitimately think that you get somebody that knows how to get these players together better, and it works out more. I'm worried for Tenacity and Busio that, like, the LCS has a tendency to look at players like them, see them doing bad in a single split, and just say, okay, they're bad, and not ask the other questions of maybe it was the coaching staff that didn't allow them to succeed, that didn't actually coach them into LCS players, that just expected them to be there. Because look at last year. Jojopyun and Danny, when they first came into the LCS, well, Danny popped off pretty heavily, but Jojopyun was a little rough coming in. Same thing with Fudge. Fudge was not good when he started in the LCS. People ragged on him heavily. But you know what? They improved as time went on. As a byproduct of coaching, of their own teammates helping them, and everything else around it. And I don't see that happening for either of these two players. It just seems like they are put in to fend for themselves, which is a problem and speaks more to the coaching staff and management staff, in my opinion, than anything else. And I don't know what to do. And I know people are going to start calling for roster changes soon, and I'm not willing to have that conversation until we are officially knocked out of playoffs. Once we're out of playoffs, then let's talk about it. But you have, like, I look at it the same way I look at football, basketball, and everything else. Like, if you have talented guys that you know have ceiling and they are not hitting that ceiling, the first spot that I'm looking at is the coaching staff, no matter what, and every time. And I know we have a lack of good coaching infrastructure in North America, so like that's right in theme with with our region and our problems. But look, I'm just happy I got a second chance at this video because I'm a lot more tame now than I was. So it is what it is. Going into next week, I think you have to expect the 1-1, the win over Dignitas. I think we played Dignitas the second game, and then obviously I think we played Golden Guardians the first time, which that's a loss. Just write it off unless we come back. Drafting wise, I just want to see us go tank top, double lift on a carry, Busio on some sort of initiator. I want to see Busio like have the ability to make plays. I know double lift can win on Zeri. I know double lift can win on these like late game hyperscaling picks, but I just don't like, for right now at least, I'm not the biggest fan of Busio on enchanters. I want him to get the chance to play Pike, to be like this aggro support like Mickey X and Hillsong and Carrier can be. Like I want him to fill that role, and just playing Lulu, Lux, and like these enchanters are like control. I don't like it. I want to see him get his full potential, and if Double Lift's not willing to do that, well then put in Unforgiven. So like give Busio the chance, because Busio is going to be around for a lot longer of a period of time than Double Lift is. Although I could be wrong. Who freaking knows? At the end of the day, I'm the fan out here talking about this as if I know jack shit, but still trying to figure it out. So I don't know. It definitely seems lost, but it's not fully lost yet, if that makes sense. In other 100 Thieves news, one thing that I was insanely jealous of was John Robinson posted yesterday on Twitter that apparently he got new TaylorMade golf clubs, and luckily I have it set up now where I'm going to be golfing once a month here in New York City with a couple other people in the esports space. But it just, seeing the connections that they have now with the golf industry just makes me jealous. Which, for those that don't know, I'm not a TaylorMade guy. I am a Titleist fan. I have AP2s. I've got a Scotty Cameron, which I got during college, which is by far and away like my favorite golf club in the world. First ever time that I tested this out at our college golf course, I one putted every hole that I played, from a range of obviously like 5 feet to 55 feet. And it is still my favorite club in the bag. I love being on the greens. I love fast greens. And just don't get me started on golf, because I could talk forever. Again, for those that don't know, I am an inactive PGA professional. I am licensed to teach. I'm just not in the golf industry right now. But that is what it is. In other news around the LCS, EG got a lot of shit this week for the Danny situation, which we don't know anything about. I'm not talking about that any further unless Danny speaks out on his medical condition. Nothing else to be said. They got a lot of shit for the Chevron partnership, which meant that I got a lot of shit for their Chevron partnership, because I played both sides of devil's advocate on Twitter, like for and against this deal. And some people apparently lack the critical thinking to understand what flip-flop, or they think it's flip-flopping. Meanwhile, I'm sitting here arguing, okay, if you're an esports company that's low on revenue and needs something to stop the bleeding, and oil money comes in, whether we like it or not, you're going to end up taking that money to make sure that you can pay your employees and keep the building lights on. Like, I don't get what's hard to understand about that. We don't have to like the deal. The politics can be bad, and that's fine. But like, it's just amazing me the amount of people that are like virtue signaling here in a situation that might not allow virtue signaling whatsoever. You don't have to like it. It is what it is. It's business. I could do a whole freaking episode of this just on like esports business, but that's what the podcast is for. Trying to think, is there any other notes around the LCS before I got a big announcement? Not really. That's pretty much it. So my big announcement though is that I am partnering with a company called Fit Gamer. They run a performance league that, think to all my people that played sports growing up, or to those that didn't, this analogy still might make sense. When you have a kid, your kid eventually signs up for soccer, football, basketball, etc. And you have practice that you have to take them to 1 or 2 days a week, and then a Saturday morning game of which they get to play, which allows them the chance to experience whether they like competitive sports in any way, whether they want to then sign up for a club team or anything else. Costs a little bit of money to get them in, but you get the chance to play in a controlled environment with a coach that helps them develop. Well, Fit Gamer has a performance league that does exactly that. You have practice days on Wednesdays and then a match day on the weekends, and then you ultimately play through a regular season into a playoff bracket, and then you can win some money because you're paying $100 to get in. Now, full disclosure, I'm getting in for free as I'm partnered with them, and I also have a discount code that'll be shown on screen that you can get 10% off getting into the league yourself. It's not pre-signed up teams of 5. You go in, you have a tryout day, and then the coaches put teams together that they think will work well together. And it's a lot. It's the best way to play League of Legends, in my opinion. The only reason this came up is because I missed the signups for low budget LCS. So thank God. But if you're wondering how this partnership also affects this channel, one, I'm able to stream everything and show it all on the various different platforms that I have, whether it's TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, etc. So I have a lot of content there. And then second is that for those that don't hit the gold or the gold standard that is there to get into the performance league, they offer training camps and boot camps to try and help you improve with challenger level coaching and others. So I have a bunch of 1 month free trials for those boot camps that I'm going to be able to give away, including to one person in the comments of this video. Tell me what you want to improve most on, and which of your favorite pro players you think best exemplifies the thing that you want to work on. So for example, if you think you're an ADC and you want to work on your kiting, and you think that Prince is the best kiting ADC in the league, let me know. I'll give out one of the codes here for free, and then I'm going to give out a bunch of others across various TikTok videos and videos across social media. Be sure to look out for them, and they'll be a consistent partner for this platform, because I genuinely believe, with one of my goals on this channel being that I want to help grow the game of League of Legends, having infrastructure and development that you can feed people into is great. And until we get this performance league, which is very similar to the Premier mode in Valorant, for those that don't follow Valorant, until we get this in the actual game of League of Legends, this is going to be one of the best ways to actually play. So I'm looking forward to playing in it myself, and I hope some of you all are as well. I understand there's a cost to get in things, but you get a prize pool and there's infrastructure that they have to pay for, so it makes sense. If you can't do it, completely understand, but hopefully you get to watch for my content and enjoy it that way. That's pretty much it for this week. I will catch you all next week. Hopefully we get a win next week, and hopefully it's a little bit prettier, but